Well, it's time now to bring it back to the studio and bring in James Creedon. James Creedon, of course, truthing or faking. That is always the question.
Absolutely.
Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
Great to see you.
Likewise.
You've been looking at some fake news suggesting Finland is preparing for conflict on its border with Russia. So we know Finland is asking to join NATO. And this is some fake news saying Finland's preparing conflict on its border with Russia. Tell us more.
So a video has been doing the rounds, in the context of that broader news story that Finland sharing a border with Russia. Lots of history there. Russia previously invaded. They have every reason to be a little bit nervous, perhaps, in the context of what's happened in Ukraine. And they've been non-aligned for since the fall of the Soviet Union, essentially neutral, and now thinking about joining NATO, which suggests that they're a little bit jittery about Russia's recent activities. That is a train with tanks, and they are being transferred somewhere. And the legend here on the Club des Amis d'Abdoulaye Wade, rather unusual that it would end up on that page. That's former Senegalese president.
Abdoulaye Wade, yes, former president of Senegal, yeah.
There you go. So anyway, the video made it there. It made it also to a number of other pages around the web, things as some of them as improbable as, well, this is on Twitter. Media reports that Finland has begun an active transfer of equipment to the border with Russia. Okay, that's the same video. Here again on Facebook, Kurdistan... in Kurdish media, so you can see the extent to which this really went around the world.
Same video, isn't it? Same video.
That's right. From Senegal to Kurdistan to Twitter, you can see really it went very viral indeed. Now, in fact, if you look at the work of the Observer's Desk, because they looked into this, and there's a train track. There are some visual cues around the actual journey that we can see in that clip. In particular, this tower here, Mark, and that tower. If you kind of look at the direction of the train track, etc., you can determine that this was actually that's the Nosinula Tower in Tampere, right? And Tampere is actually in the west of Finland, and if we know our geography, the border with Russia is in the
east of Finland. Okay.
So basically, the train is travelling west, and it's travelling. Those tanks were being brought to the west of Finland. What else we can say is that was in the context of Arrow 22 military exercises, joint military exercises with Lithuania, Estonia, Finland, the UK, and the US. So it is in the context of the broader jitters. And certainly when we're seeing about Finland joining NATO, that video, you might think that actually tanks are being sent to the border. They're not. And that's, I think, a pretty important detail.
Indeed. And the common denominator here is a certain support of Russia via propaganda, it seems. Because clearly the Club des Amis d'Admirateurs d'Abdoulaye Wade is some kind of an African-based body, I imagine.
Yes.
And of course, there is a lot of pro-Russian propaganda being pushed and pursued via social media across Africa, isn't there?
Exactly. So whether this was willful deception, whether it was sort of, or it was just a mistake, it's hard to know. Why would people say that it's going to the border with Finland when there's nothing to indicate that it is, other than an attempt to actually stir up concern and fear? So it could well be willful misinformation, but it's at the very least misleading and inaccurate.
Indeed. All part of the mischief making that you're picking up online all the time here, James. And it's something that you've been doing for many years, picking up on these kind of untruths that people are pushing for their own purposes. And who knows what goes on in their heads, but it's clearly making a lot of people feel very, very shaky indeed. So that is fake news, everybody.
Yes,
right.
It is.
Next.
All right.
Have Parisians been taking to the streets to protest against police brutality? Now, some might say, and we've reported on this in the past, for instance, during the Yellow Vest protests, there were certain actions by the police which could be, I think, classed as police brutality. And we've reported on this.
Yes.
Truth, we've reported on this. Yes. Now, what have you got that suggests something or nothing?
As you said, very credible when these claims come in because of the context of police brutality having basically happened. And certainly France has been wrapped over the knuckles, even by the UN.
The UN, sure.
That's right.
Sure.
So in any case, what you see here in this video is clashes. There's a fire burning there, and in this particular tweet, it's been connected to a police brutality, right? And so protesters burned cars, set bank on fire in Paris over a police brutality bill. Now, this is just a nuance because actually those images are accurate. They did happen, but the original video is this one. And if this was in the context of May Day, 1st of May protests, there were clashes with the police. I believe 54 arrests. The clashes took place at Place de la République and Place de la Nation in the east of Paris. But this was nothing to do with police brutality per se. But why would that be believable, that these protests were over police brutality? Well, actually, on May Day in 2008, you'll remember, of course, the Benalla scandal, bodyguard of the president who was caught up in scenes of, I think you could class it as police brutality, except he wasn't a police officer. So
Sure.
that generated a certain amount of scandal. And you can see headlines such as this, derrière l'affaire Benalla, or behind this Benalla scandal, what would you say? Police brutality is being made an ordinary.
It's been made to seem ordinary, yeah?
Exactly. Yeah. So certainly when May Day protests in the past were connected to police brutality, you might think that that's why people are protesting now, but they're not. So it's very easy to get these sort of videos, for these videos to be misrepresented or for the details to go missing.
And that fire you saw in the demonstration, that was a May Day demonstration, that you saw that fire. I mean, what's going on there?
Boulevard Diderot. Well,
I thought it was Boulevard Diderot.
Boulevard Diderot. There was a McDonald's that was targeted at one point. I'm not sure what was targeted in that particular scene, but certainly what happened during...
that's a car that's on fire, surely by the smoke.
I think cars were set alight. Black bloc anarchists were a part of those protests, and I think fires were set. There was a McDonald's that was ransacked.
The thing that gets me, and I'm sorry, this is my opinion, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but when I see these people burning cars like that, usually it's someone's old Renault Clio that they flip over and set fire to. So they're trying to attack the system and attack the rich and attack by picking on some poor guy or some poor woman who uses a third-hand car to get to work.
Having to
it's
get his
not
Renault
fair,
serviced.
is it?
No, it isn't.
And they pick on easy targets, and that basically is wrong.
Oftentimes.
Ever so wrong.
Oftentimes. All sorts of layers of wrong.
You sorted out the truth and the fake about that. Thank you, sir, very much
Thank
indeed.
you, Mark.
James Creedon, as ever, with his spotlight on what's true and what's not online. Thank you, sir,
Thanks,
very much.
Mark.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Likewise.